Yet again, Duke basketball with another top recruiting class. As we get to set in the 2025-2026 season, half of the roster is going to be made up with freshmen. Let's get to know these guys a little bit better on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on Friday, June 6th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. Excited for Duke baseball's super regional action this upcoming weekend against Murray State, but we're going to be focused on the basketball squad here on today's show with our good friend Brandon Jenkins from 24/7 Sports, talking about the 2025 recruiting class that John Scheyer was able to put together. What a good one it is. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, join us over on YouTube. We're continuing to grow our YouTube audience and really appreciate all the support that you guys give us over there on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Without further ado, let's bring him on into the show. Our good friend Brandon Jenkins back with us once again on the program. Long overdue. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Man, I'm good. How have you been?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. I'm much better now that we kind of know what these rosters are going to look like going into next season. I know you and I were just talking before we started recording here today, and you and your team over there, forget about high school recruiting right now. The last 6 to 8 weeks, everything has been dialed in on what's up with the transfer portal. Who's going? I mean, I know that's kept you really busy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is. I mean, it's the lay of the land now. It's the lay of the land to the point where, we've been covering live period events. And at this point, it's just like the energy is kind of down just because we know where these coaches are focused on, when the whole sport damn near enters the transfer portal. I mean, that's how you're going to build your roster. So these high school kids have to take I guess they're on a second tier at this point until the summer really kicks into full gear. And I think we're gearing towards that way. So, but yeah, the energy is just kind of down right now when it comes to high school kids.
Yeah, it's been totally different. And I want to get to Duke's 2025 class here in just a second, but talking about the last few weeks, Duke basketball always kind of setting themselves apart as a standard in the sport and that sort of thing. When everybody zigs, they like to zag. And Brandon, that's exactly what they did. Duke did not have a single player enter the transfer portal following this past season. And then when you look at kind of trying to acquire top talent, the only transfers that Duke saw come in were grad transfers from like Ivy League schools that are going to be into the bench guys and not really play this upcoming season. Pretty crazy that in this day and age, in 2025, John Scheyer had 5 players who he was able to convince all of them to come back for this next year.
Absolutely. It just shows that they're really bought into that culture. I think that brotherhood is something real. It's not cliche. And I think it's a reason why somebody like Caleb Foster, who, probably easily could have hit the portal. And I'm pretty sure a lot of coaches would have threw a bunch of money at him to go run the show at a different offense, but he wants to stick it out, stay within, the brotherhood. He knew that college basketball isn't supposed to be easy. There's some beauty in the journey, and he wants to take it full force and be a better player because of it. So, yeah, shout out to a player like him who actually wants to do that, and the brotherhood within itself, because there's something special there.
There were so many times throughout the year where it just felt like a guarantee that Caleb Foster would transfer at the end of the year because it was such an up and down year. There were games where he was barely getting off the bench and playing. He didn't even play at all in the final home game of the season, but then stepped up come tournament time, made some big plays for Duke down the stretch, and a big reason why Duke's excited to have him back going into his junior season. The other guy that they're really fired up about getting, and a guy that got tons of offers across the sport from what we're hearing, is Isaiah Evans, who tested the draft waters a little bit as well. I know that over the years when we've been talking, he's a guy that you really love his game. Showtime Slim, his Instagram handle, and that's somebody that we're really fired up to get back at Duke for a sophomore season.
Yeah, I don't think Duke fans are going to like me for saying this, but I really thought he should have left. I thought he had enough. I thought he had all that. He proved himself. I mean, you're playing in a limited role. You're efficient with it. You had a couple of big-time games in ACC play. I mean, what else did you need to show? I mean, I've known players that have shown so much less. Like Shaden Sharp didn't even play and get drafted. Now, when you're a freak athlete, it's different, but Isaiah can get his shot off whenever he wants. He can get buckets. He plays with a lot of confidence. If the league is about entertainment, he's definitely entertaining. So, it didn't surprise me that he wanted to come back because that was kind of what was lingering throughout the whole season. But at the same time, it was just like, this dude is good enough to leave now.
I mean, we don't know the numbers, but we can, forecast that he's being paid handsomely to come back and play at Duke. And there's just the ever, slightest of options where maybe he would have fallen into the second round and then the money really drops off.
Right.
That level.
Right. And I think that's what it was. I mean, at the end of the day, the narratives really do play a lot in this, and it's sometimes hard to overcome a narrative. But at the same time, I thought his talent was great enough to do it. But at the end of the day, who am I outside of a basketball analyst for 24/7 Sports? But who am I to say that he's the first round pick when there's a whole bunch of NBA GMs being told that he's not?
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I thought he had the talent to showcase that maybe in a draft combine setting. But it's just you're playing with fire there. And so I think he chose the safe route, and I think he's going to be beneficial because of it. I think he's in store for a big-time sophomore season.
I mean, the role is going to be so much larger. You look at what Duke did this past year. We haven't really gotten a chance to speak since the end of the year and the heartbreak that took place in the Final Four. But now that we're a little bit removed from that, you can appreciate a team that went 35-4, made it all the way to the Final Four, won the ACC regular season, won the ACC championship, and they're starting five between Cooper Flack, Common Malawach, Con Knipple, Tyrese Proctor, and Sion James. All of those guys are going to be drafted. They're out the door, which means there's got to be larger roles. And for Isaiah Evans, you're probably looking at that like, let me come back. I'm going to be one of the focal points of what Duke wants to do this next season.
Absolutely. And the biggest flex is he's already had a year under John Scheyer. So now you get a chance to sit back, learn, see what works, see what doesn't, and try to assert yourself as the dude that you think you are. And I think he has a chance to be that. I know he has talented recruits coming alongside him, but at the same time, he's been there. The expectations are high, and there are people that have thrived in that position. Now, granted, you think about a dude like Jason Tatum and Jabari. They're bigger players. Jason Tatum, Jabari Parker, dudes that have thrived. Brandon Ingram, dudes that have thrived at that 3-4 spot. Now, I don't think Isaiah will spend any time at the 4, but at the end of the day, that big wing position, Duke usually does a great job in. And now you're getting a dude who's coming in for year 2 who has experience playing under Scheyer. I mean, that's a big flex right there.
For sure. I mean, he shot over 40% from three-point range this past season. I think the big thing of the offseason is going to be bulking up a little bit more, working on his body to be able to handle a larger responsibility. From what you remember from his kind of recruiting process or just evaluating his game, watching him play a little bit, people want to see what else he's able to do beyond the three-point shot using that size. Duke's going to need a couple of more ball handlers to step up. Because here's a number for you, Brandon. As a freshman this past year, 82% of Isaiah Evans' shot attempts were three-pointers. I mean, if he was touching it, he was shooting a three. There really was not a whole lot of looks outside of that. He did have a couple of nice dunks playing above the rim and that sort of thing, but that's the level of his game that people want to see more of. 82% of his shot attempts were three balls, man.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure those dunks came in transition too. So I think people should know that this dude has some serious game. Now, in college basketball, it's hard to get the mid-range jumper off just because dudes are in the gaps. The floor is a little smaller than the NBA game, so you're not really going to see a lot of dudes break you down and get their shot off in the mid-range. But Isaiah Evans is talented enough to do that at this level. He has game off the bounce. The difference was there was just so many players around him, so much talent around him that he had to fill that role. Now, whether that role will be expanded on this year, I'm expecting it to. I think we're all expecting it to. But at the end of the day, it is Duke. He will have players around him, and John Scheyer will coach him to be the most efficient player that he possibly can. But this dude does have game off the bounce.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if it'll all come into fruition next season.
Give me a word. We've talked Foster. We've talked Evans. I'll kind of lump the next three guys together, and then we'll get to our first break of the show. But Duke getting back Malik Brown for his senior season. Pat Gongba, who really impressed in stretches throughout his freshman year. And then Darren Harris wasn't used a whole lot, but when he comes in, he can knock it down. You were very up to date on his recruitment and that sort of thing. Those three guys, what are you kind of thinking as they come back to Duke for another year?
Yeah, with Malik Brown, I actually love Malik Brown because he can really fill the role.
Yeah.
Just a defensive juggernaut, long arms, very mobile.
His hands are magnets, man. I mean, he's always in passing lanes and doing things. Yep.
Yeah, defensive player, just an irritant defensive playmaker. Irritant with great positional size for what he does. You got him in the front court. That's somebody that you like to play with, somebody you hate playing against. Duke knew what they were doing getting him last season from Syracuse, correct?
Yep.
But yeah, no, he's just a flex at that defensive playmaker role. I mean, he's gonna do the same thing he did last year and maybe be even better because of it. You know what I mean? Like, he's just gonna play a role. He'll probably be on a louder scope just because dudes are gone. And he's another dude who has experience coming into that second season as a Blue Devil. With Pat, I know he had great moments down the stretch, but none of his production surprised me. I mean, like, this dude was injured during the most part of his senior season in high school, but if you really got a chance to see him, I mean, like, this dude has like the best hands, just the best hands. He catches high, finishes high. He has a lot of skill. He's comfortable operating on the perimeter when it comes to, playing out of different actions and finding the open man, just has a pass you can see over the defense. We're going to see his game expand. We're going to see his confidence expand because his front court mate is pretty talented too. And I think that they will elevate each other's games just off their actions alone. And then when you think about Darren Harris, I've seen his name float around social media a lot last year. Why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? And my whole thing in this day and age of the transfer portal where you don't have to be locked in, you don't have to be loyal, you can leave whenever you want. I was really hoping that this was a kid that would stay and stick it out just because, the foundation of his production really does fit what Duke is looking for. Just somebody who could space the floor, spot up, and once he gets hot, call it a wrap. And it opens up the rest of his game as well. So, that's somebody that I have big expectations. He brings the positional size. He has a frame that could fill out, and probably has already as he's going into his second offseason. That's a guy that I like, that like Blue Devil fans would love. It comes from that PBI background, so is Pat, and I think that they'll build off each other and have great sophomore campaigns for sure.
Yeah, the last few weeks, Jon Scheyer's kind of gone out of his way to talk a little bit about Darren Harris and how excited he is that he didn't run away from the grind and is coming back for his sophomore season. I think that might mean a bit of a larger role for him this upcoming year. So excited to see that. A big role for this Duke basketball team is set to be filled by Kaden Boozer, the headline name in the recruiting class for Duke this upcoming season. Let's go ahead and we'll talk about that after we take our first break here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Stay with us. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, and so much more. Fans have more ways than ever before to play smart and win big. Really enjoyed Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night between the Thunder and the Pacers. Make sure you're staying up to date on this series with FanDuel to get involved in the action. Are you new to FanDuel? Well, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, let's keep this thing going. I've got Brandon Jenkins here with me from 247 Sports on top of the entire recruiting world. And Kaden Boozer is someone that you've been watching for quite some time. His twin Kaden Boozer coming to play at Duke this upcoming season as well. Let's get into this class. Let's meet this top recruiting class that Jon Scheyer was able to put together once again. And we got to start, of course, with Kaden Boozer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. I'm on social media a lot. You know the job. I'm just scrolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody called him, the Tim Duncan of high school basketball. But in my opinion, his game favors Kevin Love, but it's the Tim Duncan vibes and the way that he's consistently dominant. And he's probably not the most exciting player to watch, but you know what you're getting and you know you're getting wins. I mean, we're talking about a dude who's won an EYBL championship on the 15U, 16U, and 17U level. He's fresh off a high school national championship.
How rare is that? Like for perspective with people watching to have that type of trophy case already.
We're not going to see nothing like that again. Yeah, we're not going to see anything like that again. I mean, that dude was just so dominant. and fundamentally sound in the way. He makes open shots. He's a real face-up threat. He can pass the basketball. A dominant, aggressive, physical rebounder. I mean, he just, and with a stoic expression, he just affects the game in every way. I think if there's one thing that he really doesn't do that doesn't jump off the page, is probably protect the rim. He's probably not the best shot blocker, but at the end of the day, he defends with so much physicality. I mean, he's going to make sure he checks the box on every part of the game. So that's Mr. Reliable as a freshman. He's going to come in and be Mr. Reliable. He could play alongside great talent. He could be the dude in certain instances. He's going to be the big fundamental, but in a Kevin Love type of way, because you just know what you're getting every day.
John Scheyer has said this week that there are going to be opportunities for Kaden Boozer to even be handling it and pushing the break a little bit this season, much like Cooper Flagg this past year. That's really exciting to hear, man, when your best player is able to kind of grab it and run when he needs to.
Absolutely. Yeah, it won't be as fluid. He can do it, and he'll be efficient in doing it, but it just won't be as fluid just because his game is just so powerful. And that's just one of the things. He is mobile, but he's not the most fluid. So when you see him pushing the ball, it's just going to be with power and precision, I would say, because this dude is always looking to make the right basketball play. He isn't worried about the flash. He's just worried about winning basketball games. And you can see it in his body language. He's just dead set on doing everything it takes to win, whether it be getting his or making his life easy for those around him.
Yeah, incredibly competitive and a winner, like you said. Someone that's got nearly the exact same trophy case, because he's been playing alongside his twin brother his entire life, is Kaden Boozer, who's going to come into Duke this upcoming year. What can we expect from his game, you think?
Yeah, for him to produce and also to get better as the years go by. It's hard saying, because, at some point during his senior campaign, I remember thinking there was this thing that our director of scouting, Adam Finkelstein, said, will Kaden Boozer's path be on the same as Cameron's? Obviously, they're different size. I mean, Caden's a point guard, Cam is a 4'5". And at one point during his senior year, I said yes. The only thing is now, when it comes to one and done, it has to deal with opportunity. Caleb Foster comes back, so the rotation – that's kind of playing in my head, but I will tell you this. I do think he's a one and done talent because he's a big guard. He's 6'5" and he's stocky. His jumper is getting better. There's still some work that he needs to make in terms of the consistency of his three ball, but it has gotten better. But this dude, what he's best at is getting the ball where it needs to go. Like his brother, he's dead set on making winning plays. And he scores with opportunity. I think that's a big deal. He isn't looking for his own offense, but if the opportunity comes and presents itself, he's usually efficient in finding his way to get buckets inside the arc. And then once he gets in a groove, he can step out inside and make something happen. But at the end of the day, the jumper does need improvement. But this dude plays the game to win, and he's out on the floor to serve the table. He makes life easier for others, and he plays for the next man. And what else could you want in a point guard, that throwback style of a point guard?
John Scheyer reiterated this week that there will be opportunities for Foster and Kaden Boozer to be on the floor at the same time this upcoming season. So I'm excited to kind of see what that mix looks like. And then when Scheyer was speaking a little bit and evaluating Kaden Boozer's game, he spoke so highly of his advanced passes, pushing the break, and really hadn't seen somebody who looked to do that as frequently as Kaden Boozer. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's crazy because as soon as I finished, when you started talking, I was thinking about his ability to advance the ball and how much of a cheat code that is. It really just pushes the tempo.
Yeah.
So he's just a perfect fit for what John Scheyer wants to do in that nature, and that's why they could be on the floor together, because obviously we've seen Caleb Foster play off the ball these past 2 years, and it's just another dude who'll give him the ball and opportunities where he can be efficient and showcase the best version of his game. So, Kaden Boozer, just a team-oriented guy with size, positional size. And we know, Duke has been obsessed with that based off of last year's roster.
Yeah, I mean, last year's roster, no scholarship player under 6'5". This year's roster, no scholarship player under 6'5". Clearly something's working, so they're going to look to duplicate that this upcoming season. Okay, let's get to another guy in the 2025 class. Putting together a top class means you've got to put together top talent. This is a top 20 guy when all the folks have put together their recruiting rankings, but I know it's a bit more of a difficult player to evaluate, with Dame Sarr being one of the newest additions to Duke for this upcoming season, Brandon? Simply put, because he wasn't stateside. He's from Italy these past few seasons. He's been playing for FC Barcelona, tons of already professional experience under his belt at just 18 years old. Just celebrated his birthday, actually, and turned 19 this week. So, I'm really excited to see Dame Sarr this upcoming year.
Absolutely. I'm not too familiar with his measurements. What is he? Is 6'6"?
6'6", yeah.
He's 6'6" at the guard position because he was listed as a guard. I remember checking it on our site.
Yeah.
I think he played in the Nike Hoop Summit. I wasn't able to
catch
that
game.
Yep,
he did.
I was covering an event, but anybody that's drawing that type of hype that's playing for Duke, you really don't have to evaluate to know that he's good. I know he's rated a five-star recruit on our site. So I'm interested to see, this whole European trend is really intriguing to me, just to see what clicks and what doesn't. And so far, we had a good year last year. The year before that, it was kind of iffy. But the 2023 in its totality as a whole was just not the strongest class. And so hopefully we can ride this good wave off a great 2024 class where we've seen the European talent from over there. So, I'm interested in seeing him and how big his role is going to be and, what he can do with it and what he does well.
Yeah, Duke was really active in the Cedric Howard sweepstakes, trying to get him to come and play another year of college basketball. He ultimately decides to stay in the NBA draft. Kansas was really high on Dame Sarr. Once Duke saw Coward there, Duke just pivoted and said, sorry, Kansas, we're just going to take this guy from you.
Just taking anybody they want. It's just wild. They're just taking everybody they want. It's good to see them thriving in the NIL period. Everybody wondered if NIL was going to change anything, and Duke is telling you no, we're still going to get the dudes that we want.
Yeah, so, I love to see it. Another top class. All right, a couple of more guys to talk about with Brandon Jenkins here after we take one more break here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Thanks so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. For your second listen, make sure you check out the Portal Show. Locked On's very own Brian Smith gives you all the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings in the college football world. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Go ahead and find the Portal on YouTube or wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to check all of that out. Also, check out Locked On College Basketball with hosts Isaac Scheyer and Andy Patton. They do a great job of keeping you up to date on everything happening in college hoops. My guy, Brandon Jenkins, is here with us today from 247 Sports. All right, Brandon, we got to talk about the last couple of guys here in this class for the Blue Devils. Nick Hmenia, learned that pronunciation from him going into this upcoming season. The K silent for him. What type of player will Duke be getting here in Nicholas Hmenia when he joins the Brotherhood?
First of all, it's so wild that we don't learn this stuff until they get to college. I covered Max Asmus when he was at Jesuit back in Dallas before anybody knew who he was. And I was calling him Max Admis. And then we get to college and then you get the announcers around and now everything has changed. It's
like they're so young, they don't feel comfortable enough.
Yeah, they don't have the confidence.
People.
No, this is my name.
Right. They're just like, whatever.
Absolutely. But Nick is a 6'8" dual forward out of Studio City, California. He attended Harvard Westlake. And the one thing that you need to know about him, he's a big-time winner. I know I've used the word fundamentally sound a lot, but, he embodies that theme of this class, I guess. I haven't seen Dame Sarr play, so hopefully he's on that same trend because the dudes that they're bringing in this class, they play the game the right way and it's
no doubt.
Not a flash. And when you get with Nick, you're getting a ball mover, you're getting somebody who can hit open shots, he can initiate offense from multiple areas on the floor. He brings a European style of play with his versatility alone. And he can pass, dribble, shoot at a high level. And this is a dude who I think will surprise people with the amount of minutes that he gets because I feel like John Scheyer, once he gets him in practice, he'll see I have to get this dude on the floor. This is somebody who checks every box. And he's a two-time CIF state championship, open division state championship winner, one of the hardest divisions in all of public school basketball in America. And so, this dude has winning habits. He knows the importance of playing in a culture. He's very team-oriented, and he's gotten to his best. He's gotten to that 5-star status playing unselfishly. So we're talking about a dude who has found success playing the game the right way, playing for others and playing playing unselfishly. I mean, that's just the point. I think what better fit could it be for a Blue Devil playing alongside like talent like that? So yeah, this is a dude who just gets the most out of everybody.
And Duke fans shouldn't be surprised if he's able to make an impact right away, or do you envision him being a player that may take a little bit longer?
John Scheyer will not want him on that bench. I will tell you this right now. Now, I don't know how roster projections are looking. I'm pretty sure he's not in the projected starting lineups, but he will get. He'll find a way to get on that floor.
Yeah,
I mean, he just makes so many positive plays, whether it be deflections, whether it be the right pass. I know our director of scouting called him the best passer in the class. Now, I have a different answer for that. But, if our director of scouting is calling you the best passer in the national class, I mean, you have to be doing something right. So, he's just a big-time team-oriented talent, and he's big on winning. And so I think John Scheyer would love to have him on the floor. And that's a big reason why he was so widely recruited before the Blue Devils got him.
Yeah. All right. Our last guy hasn't even been committed to Duke basketball for, 2 weeks. It's been so quick, the turnaround. Last week at Tay Academy, he's already on campus working out with the team. But Sebastian Wilkins reclasses back to the 2025 class, chooses Duke over Maryland. Tell us about Sebastian.
Another example of Duke taking what they want. The 6'8" forward out of Brewster Academy. This is a dude who was recruited by A&M heavy when Buzz Williams was down there. As soon as Buzz gets to Maryland, they get him up for an official visit. We're all thinking he's classing up and being a Terp. Next thing you know, Duke throws that offer and all hell breaks loose. And deservingly so, because they were able to get it done. But yeah, 6'8" forward out of Brewster Academy, playing the tough EYBL Scholastic schedule. And I don't think we'll see a lot from him in year one just because of how loaded this roster is. But at the end of the day, I think there had to be. Now, granted, do not quote me on this. I don't know if this is legit, but Sebastian had the chance to stay a member of the class of 2026 or go to Duke and be a member of 2025. With the minutes not looking so promising, maybe he could potentially redshirt. Who knows? But this is a dude who may have to wait it out just because of how deep Duke's front court is, and that's not a problem because I'll tell you right now, from the jump, he's already physically ready to play college basketball. Face up forward, big time rebounder. Really great out of triple threat actions. He's just good catching the ball, facing up and going to work and, taking what the defense gives him. He's improved as a shooter throughout his high school career. He has great touch, great hands, whether when it comes to stretching the floor, whether when it comes to rebounding the basketball. He finishes well through contact. He just gives you a lot of things that you need in that modern era 4 spot. But it just may take time for him to get on the floor. But the one thing that coaches can hold their hats on is just the fact that he's physically ready to compete in practice now. So he's going to be in there getting some Blue Devils better just because he's really competitive. He plays with a high motor and he's skilled.
Duke's been resurfacing an old post of Sebastian from 2019 as of late, where his family went and visited North Carolina, South Carolina, and Sebastian posted, I had a great visit to my future school, the Duke Blue Devils. You do the math, he would have been like 12 or 11 at the time, proclaiming that he's going to play for Duke, and now he's been able to see that come to true. That's crazy, man. I love seeing those kind of stories.
I'll go out and tweet right now. I hope I can date Sabrina Carpenter or something. Hopefully I can make that happen.
Speak it into existence. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There you go. I love it. Brandon, tell us all about your team there at 247 Sports and kind of give Duke fans an overview of what to expect. I know we're getting busy into circuit season coming up. I'll have you on in the coming weeks to talk about some future targets for Duke, but what are kind of the big events and dates happening over the next few weeks and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We're planning for the Scholastic Live Period events that take place in a couple of weeks from now. I personally will be going to the TABC showcase. Our director, Eric Bossi, and our national recruiting analyst, Travis Branham, will be taking on Section 7, and then Deshaun London and Adam Finkelstein will have the DC and Philly events up there. That will be our month of June. Oh, and Travis will be covering the Georgia Live Periods too. That kind of takes care of the biggest regions in the country. And then we're prepping for July as possible, but no matter what the shoe circuit is, we will definitely have it covered. Right now we're asking kids where they're taking official visits. The process is kind of slowed just because of, how gargantuan the transfer portal was.
Sure.
But, as these kids are trying to figure out where they're going to schedule their official visits, whether it be the summer or the fall, 247 Sports has you covered. And that's what we're looking forward to as these next months pass.
And things like Peach Jam and that sort of later in the summer is when those things will come
Absolutely. That will be our July live period coverage. And yeah, no matter the circuit, like we'll have you covered. And so,
good deal. Check him out at bjenkins247 there on X. Brandon, appreciate the time, man. We'll do it again soon, okay?
Absolutely, JJ. I appreciate you too.
All right, that's my guy, Brandon Jenkins, joining me on the show today. Always appreciate his time. Go follow him and support his work. That does it for our show here today. That does it for another week here on Locked On Blue Devils. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you on Monday. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.